Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. In this sixth session, verses that I had suggested to you as assignments, ending part of Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 265, to figure out what nouns are in Rafa form and why are they in Rafa form. Towards the end of the last session, I did introduce sifat, adjective, as well, with the understanding that a noun appears immediately after another noun to describe its sifat as an adjective. When any such noun appears after another noun, it is going to follow it in its i'rab and in many other aspects. What are those other aspects is what I never mentioned. So that's something for me to describe in the future. Verse 265. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم مثل الذين example of those ينفقون أموالهم ابتغاء مرضات الله وتثبيتا من أنفسهم, those people who spend their wealth in the way of Allah. ينفقون, they spend أموالهم, their wealth, ابتغاء مرضات الله, looking for the approval of Allah, of God. But tathbitam min anfusihim, strengthening of their souls. What it means is obviously is not at the moment the subject that we are to discuss. Kamathali is kamathali is like the example of a garden, Jannat. Example of those people, and there is a description of those people, is like that of a garden. Why is mathal rafa? It is because it is muqtada. What is its khabar? Its khabar is this. What is mentioned in between a description of muqtada? Al-bayt, the house, and this is khabar jadid. Basically, the example of those people is like the example of a garden. The house is new. So this is in rafa form. Why is it not in rafa form? What are the details is something we'll find out later. It's so very important that we stay away from any confusions. Confusions are caused by things that are new to you. I'm trying to pace this series of sessions in a way that you're not overburdened. كمثل جنة بربة أصابها وابل. Wow. أصابها وابل. We are interested in it because Babylon is, as we can see clearly, is Rafa. Asaba, as we can see from the translation, what it means is that reaches it, reached by rain, downpour. So this is downpour rain. Asaba reaches it while it's talking about a soil, a land. Wabilun is Rafa because of this verb Asaba. Whatever reached is file. Wabilun, rain, downpour, reached. So whatever reached is file. And the next one is فَإِلَّمْ يُصِبْهَا وَابِلٌ. Wabilun, it's again the same. Asabaha, Yusibha. So again, Wabilun is in Rafa form because of Yusib, verb, making it a file. Fatal. So if the downpour doesn't reach it, fatalun, drizzle. In the Quran, you will find numerous examples of statements where there are certain words used and there are certain other words that have not been used, and yet they are a part of the statement. Some part of the statement is mentioned in words clearly, and some part is implied. This implied part, which is called mehzoof, is something which a person who knows Arabic or who is well versed with the style of presentation of the Quran, after a certain while, can very easily find out, discern. So, وَإِلَّمْ يُصِبْهَا, then if doesn't reach it wabilun, downpour, fatallun, then drizzle. Drizzle is sufficient. Then drizzle will be muqtada and is sufficient. Khabar is not mentioned. It's mehzoof. You can figure out yourself. You have to dig it out yourself quite often. Mubtada is marifa, proper noun, but not necessarily always. Wallahu, and Allah, bima ta'malun, what you do, basir, is watching. This is mubtada, and this is khabar. This right now doesn't apply to us. One of the examples where the Almighty has been kind to us who are learning Arabic at the very early stage, that He has given an example. This is mubtada, this is khabar, this is marifa, this is nakara. All the principles that we have learned are getting applied. Let's move on to verse 268 now. Ash-shaytanu ya'idukumul faqr. Okay, shaitan, because it is in Rafa form. Ya'idukumul faqr. Ya'idu promises or scares you al-faqr with poverty. Whenever you have a noun that is taking a Rafa form, the first priority should be that you should look for a verb to find out if it's giving it the Rafa Arab because of the noun being its file. Yaidu is there. Who is promising? Shaitan is promising. I mean, ordinarily you would have had Yaidu at the beginning before a Shaitan. It's not necessary. It was important to be said that he is promising you. So it comes later. But it's quite clearly a Shaitan is in Rafa form because of it being the file of Yaidu. وَيَأْمُرُكُمْ بِالْفَحْشَاءِ وَاللَّهُ يَعِدُكُمْ مَغْفِرَةً مِّنْهُ وَفَضْلًا. Allah, He promises you forgiveness from His side of fadla and bounty. So Allah is also in Rafa form, and the reason is the same. Allah is the file of Yaidu. Wallahu, and Allah. Wasi'un. Allah is the one who has lots of space, or He is all encompassing. But it couldn't have been simpler. Mubtada and Khabar. And Mubtada Allah, Marifa, and Khabar, Wasi, Nakira. Alim is also Rafa. I mean, if you say that it's the sifat of Wasi, for a beginner, it's an excusable mistake. But it's not a sifat of Wasi. You see, in order for something to be a sifat, an adjective of a noun, the noun has to be something that is that is in itself clear, definite, specific, whose attribute is being described. This alim is also another khabar of Allah. About Allah, there are two akhbar, two things that are being mentioned. One, that He is Wasir, and the other, that He is Alim. 271. وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. Khairun is Rafa, and then lakum, for you. Then it is good for you. Khair is khabar. It's nakira. Mubtada is huwa, something that we have not studied as yet. But obviously, The way we are trying to understand is that we are jumping into the deep waters, trying to struggle and find our way. We don't know how to swim properly, but we're still trying to strive and struggle to be able to understand. فهو خير لكم ويكفر عنكم من سيئاتكم والله بما تعملون خبير. And God, whatever you are doing, khabir, is informed about it. So, wallahu, Allah is mubtada, wallahu, Allah is mubtada, and khabir is khabar. When you have mubtada, khabar, the translation can be done according to the context. Past, present, or future is going to be decided by the context. In verse 275, the Almighty is saying, الذين يأكلون الربا لا يقومون إلا كما يقوم الذي يتخبطه الشيطان يتخبطه الشيطان. Shaitan has struck him, beaten him, minal mas, by his touch. He has made him insane, out of senses by his touch. The Shaitan has become khabti. He has been driven insane by Shaitan. Now, I found some of you commenting that it's a naib file because you felt that the meaning of yatakhabbatu was that he was driven insane. There are two things. Yatakhabbatu, he is driving somebody to insanity. Somebody is doing it. Who is doing it? Shaitan is doing it. So Shaitan has to be the file. This is a verb. We've not talked about verbs as yet, but I'm just telling you about a certain aspect of verb that has to do with our understanding of naib file. Nasara is a verb. This is past. He helped. Yansuru, he is helping or he will help. The passive of Nasara is Nusira. And the passive of Yansuru, which is Yunsal. Passive verbs will always have the same pattern. Active verbs change their form, their patterns, the way they appear in various different ways. But passive verb would never change its appearance. Had it been passive, yutakhabbatu, yunsaru, yutakhabbatu. Yatakhabbatu form can never be a form of passive verb. The subsequent noun cannot be naib file. 283. وَإِن كُنْتُمْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ. And if you are on a journey, فَلَمْ تَجِدُوا كَاتِبًا فَرِحَانٌ مَقْبُوضًا. This is very interesting. You don't find a scribe, فَرِحَانٌ مَقْبُوضًا. Then فَرِحَانٌ. Then security, مَقْبُوضًا. There could be a temptation to say that Rehanun is Mubtada and Maqbuza is Khabar. For one reason, it cannot be so is that both are nakira, common noun. Okay, I mean, you might say that you yourself said that there are exceptions. There's always a reason for exception. But here, the sifat of Rehan, then security, Maqbuza, given in control, given in qabza, given in custody. وَإِن كُنْتُمْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ. When you are on a journey, وَلَمْ تَجِدُوا كَاتِبًا. And you do not find a scribe, فَرِحَانٌ مَقْبُوضًا. Then security given in custody. The next part, khabar, is implied, is obvious, should suffice for something. That's the khabar. It is not mentioned. There are examples in the Quran that the Almighty mentions a few words and doesn't mention other words. And you are able to dig out those words and you say, I mean, it's amazing. Okay. فَإِنْ أَمِنَ بَعْضُكُمْ بَعْضًا. We are interested in بَعْضُكُمْ. Why is بَعْضُكُمْ in Rafa form? Because amina is a verb, ba'dukum is the file. Amina means you have come into aman. You feel at peace. Who? Ba'dukum, some of you. So amina is the verb, fail, and ba'dukum is the file, some of you. In amina ba'dukum ba'dan falyuaddil lazi tumina amanatahu walyattaqillaha rabba wala taktumu shahada ومن يكتمها فإنه عاصم قلبه فإنه then it فإنه then it عاصم is going to be ism is sin فإنه then he the one doing this wrong deed he is going to be sinner. Asim is a sinner. So why is Asim Rafa? Because it's khabar. And this is Mubtada. We don't quite as much understand this mubtada. I've not talked about it, but this is quite clearly khabar. The next part, qalbuhu. Qalbuhu, think about it. فَإِنَّهُ آسِفٌ. Then he is a sinner. Qalbuhu is heart. Nouns, they emerge from verbs. So words have their family. When you say qatala, qatala is a verb, qatil is a noun, maqtul is a noun, and so on. So Athimun is a noun, but this noun is a verb. He committed sin, right? That verb is there in the noun, always there in the noun. So Athimun is a sinner. Now, within this Athim sinner is the verb he sinned. And that verb is giving qalb, rafa. So qalbuhu is the file of the verb that is there in Athim. Heart is a sinner. That in itself is a very profound statement. What it means is actually that sometimes people sin and it's wrong, it's bad, but it gets washed away by good deeds, etc. There's some sins which cause the heart to become a sinner, which is obviously very serious. Wallahu bima ta'maluna alim. God, what you do is knowledgeable, he knows about it. So Wallahu, Allah is Mubtada and Alim is Khabar. Okay. The assignment for the next time is Surah Al Imran, Surah number 3, verses 7 to 11. Yes, Talha?
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Right, Islam.
Sir, can I ask my question in Urdu because it's becoming difficult for me to phrase it in English.
Okay.
सर आपने वमसलुल लज़ीना का मसली जन्नह में मुब्तदा खबर का कॉन्सेप्ट दिया आपने ये भी बताया कि जो इस आयत के अंदर फतुल के जो अल्फाज है
Fatal,
बूंदाबांदी
fatal,
फतल
fatal. You know,
फतल के जो अल्फाज है बूंदाबांदी इसके लिए मुराद है तो यहाँ पे अक्सर देखा गया है अल बयान और तदब्बुर कुरान में कि यहाँ पे माजूफ जैसे आपने तारुफ कराया तो इस महजूफ की निशानी क्या है कि कहाँ पे आके आपको मालूम होगा ये महजूफ है इसलिए इसने ये फॉर्म ली है
you see, if you look at fatal, then drizzle. So I think I did mention sometime in one of the first few sessions. If I did not, let it be the first time. There is no word that is used in any language, particularly in the Quran, which is not a part of a statement. So I mean, fatal. What do you mean fatal? Then drizzle. It would appear incomplete. It would make no sense unless it is accompanied by something else that would complete it. That is why I said that, once you start getting a grip on the understanding the language of the Quran, you'll find that you are appreciating that there are certain things that need to be there and they are not there, and you'll be able to figure it out, not immediately yourself to begin with, but obviously looking at translations, good translations. But tal itself, then drizzle. So you have to ask yourself, what do you mean, then drizzle? This would not complete the sense unless it is accompanied by something else. So my answer is that the context of a word would tell you that there is something missing. Either you've not understood it properly, and maybe there's something already there that is completing the sense. But if there is nothing around expressed clearly in words, then it has to be something that needs to be added as an implied word which is not mentioned.
Linguistically speaking, this is something which is known inside the language of like Arabic language. So like to rephrase your answer, basically, whenever we encounter a situation where another word comes into place where it's not making sense, then most likely the relevant meanings are mahzuf.
Right, that's right. I mean, I can give you many examples, but right now I don't want to, confuse you with something that is new for you. So all that you need to do is, what we are doing is that we are familiar with a few nouns and we are familiar with the concept of rafa, and we are trying to figure out where are rafa nouns used in the Quranic text and why have they been used. To begin with, we have been introduced only to four concepts: Mubtada, Khabar, File, Naib File. That is what we are trying to identify. As we move on, inshallah, we will find, more concepts introduced and therefore more applications that we are going to identify, dig out. I want you people to start reading the Quran and identifying nouns that are in Rafa form.
Sir, I have a general question about some other words that are mentioned in the different parts of Quran. So one is like awliya shaitan, so friends of shaitan. This is also Rafa, right?
Right?
And sabilillah, way of Allah. That will also be mubtada khabar.
No. Uh, you see, now we are going to other passages. Sabilillah is not Rafa.
Okay.
Sabil has a jar. It had to
Okay.
be Sabilullah to make it Rafa.
Sir, ayat 268. Wallahu
260.
wasi'un alim, where you
Yeah.
said that this is like a unique situation where there's single mubtada wallah and wasi'un alim al akhbar rather
Right.
than a single khabar.
Right.
So what like how like because I marked alim as adjective or sift over here. So how can I distinguish that whether the khabar is akhbar, like the combination of multiple khabar, or whether it's sift? Like is there a clear distinction for that?
Okay. Now take away Allah. Try to read Wasiun Alim. Wase is the one that has wusat, is, let's say, all encompassing, and Alim is knowing, all knowing. If you would make Wase Mubtada and Alim Khabar, what it would mean is all encompassing is all knowing. It would not make sense because it is not what the verse is trying to say. The verse is saying Allah is Wase as well as Alim. It is not the intent of the verse that somebody who is Wase is Alim. You get the point? Wase is giving an attribute of Allah, and Alim is another attribute of Allah. So, if you will make Wase as Muqtada, then you will say that there is some Wase who is Alim, even though Wase itself is an attribute. So, this is something that you find in the Quran mentioned quite often. Two attributes of the Almighty come together. Wallahu Azizun Hakim. Azizun Hakim comes quite often. The idea is that Allah has these attributes simultaneously. And these two attributes are the ones that are applicable to the subject matter that has been discussed in the verse.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum
Sir, the last verse, فَإِنَّهُ آسِمٌ قَلْبُهُ. I need
Yeah.
more explanation how Asimun is sinner and Qalbuhu his heart. Where is the adjective or sift? I cannot understand, sir.
Why are you interested in Sifat?
Because we are studying sift.
Because, sir, you have taught us that adjective is so important that you must
Ji,
find everywhere. No,
ji,
I didn't say that. We are studying Rafa, and Rafa is caused by a number of reasons. Muqtada, Khabar, File, and Naib File. Adjective Sifat is something that has got to do with a noun that comes before it. So at times, a noun has to be described. It has to be given its some quality, some description. So an adjective comes to do that. But here, qalbuhu is rafa. We have to understand what has caused it to be in rafa form. What I tried to explain was that asimun is a noun, but within each noun, there is a verb. There's always a verb, which is a part of the family. So within asimun is the verb committed a sin. Who? Qalbu. His heart, qalb, has taken rafa because it is the file of the verb which is hidden there in asim.
Sir, ayat number 275, two questions. The statement where ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّهُمْ قَالُوا إِنَّمَا الْبَيْعُ مِثْلُ الرِّبَا. Like, how do we solve these rafa? And at the end of it, فَأُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ النَّارِ.
275. Oh, okay. I actually didn't do it. You're right. So where did you start from? Say it again.
ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّهُمْ قَالُوا إِنَّمَا الْبَيْعُ مِثْلُ
Yeah,
الرِّبَا.
yeah. Zalika bi annahum qalu innamal bayu. Oh my goodness, I just missed it. I think I got so impressed by yatakhabbatu shaitan that I missed the whole. Oh, goodness me. Yeah, thank you. Innamal bayu mithlu riba. So al bay is rafa and mithlu riba is rafa. It's simple. Al bay is mubtada and mithlu riba is khabar. Why? Because if you look at the translation, that trading is like riba. So al-bay, trading, is mubtada, and mislu riba is khabar. So that's pretty simple. Mubtada and khabar are making it rafa. Wa ahallallah, and God, Allah made halal. So quite obviously, Allah is in rafa form because of the verb ahalla. Ahallallahu al-bay'a wa harrama al-riba. Faman ja'ahu, then whoever Jahu reaches him, Maw'izatun, Maw'iza, admonition. So Maw'izatun is Rafa because of Ja, reaches. What reaches? Maw'izatun. Whatever will reach is going to be file, and it's a file. Min Rabbihi fantaha falahu ma salaf wa amruhu ilallah. And his matter is with Allah. So amruhu is again Rafa, it's Muqtada. Ilallah is khabar. It's a different, obviously, form of khabar. We are not as yet familiar with it, but amruhu is Muqtada. Waman ada, and whoever repeats, whoever will repeat, فَأُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ النَّارِ. So they are going to be the inhabitants of fire. Ashab obviously has Rafa. Why? Why? Because it is khabar. Ulaika is mubtada and ashabun nar is khabar. Hum fiha khalidun. Hum, they, fiha, in it, khalidun, will remain ever. So the statement is hum khalidun. Hum is mubtada and khalidun is khabar. Khalidun is rafa because mu'minun, muslimun, khalidun, they're all rafa.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Alaikum salam.
Sir, just when I was doing the assignments, I feel that like Itzmun, Qalbun, Wiblun, Fatlun. So these can be taken as a pair words. Like in English, we have back and forth, Subha, Sham, Din, Raat. Many things, it will maybe help us to detect, to understand the meaning. Or many verses in Quran, I found some pair words.
For you, but I didn't understand. What pairs are you making?
Sir, like
Give this example again.
As a phrase, Ithmun qalbun, a sinful heart. Wablun fitlun, like heavy rain and light rain. So it's a mini proverbs in the verse like this.
You see,
To be read
qalbun.
together to understand.
No. My request is don't mix Urdu with English. If it helps you in some ways, okay, fine. But don't make it a principle. Quite often there are people who have made these, such similarities as principle, and things have gone wrong. So if you say ismun qalbun, is qalbun ismun? Well, I don't know. But if you find that there are certain similarities between Urdu and Arabic or English and Arabic, and they're helping you, do it on your own. A language has its own system, and if you, in order for you to be able to understand it, you introduce something from outside the language, things get muddled. They get confused. So do it for yourself, but please don't do it for us.
Asim, I'm talking about the same verse.
Asimun qalbi.
Asimun kalbu. So
Okay.
Asimun is the file of gunasin. So it's that's why it is a file.
No.
It's committing the sin.
Asimun is not a file. Asimun is a khabar. فَإِنَّهُ آثِمٌ. Then he is an asim. He is a sinner. And qalbuhu, I said, this is something new for you. Just try to understand it. You will find many examples in the Quran of this principle, that there is a noun, and within the noun, there is a hidden verb. In each noun, there is a verb, and each verb can be made into a noun. All nouns and verbs, like they have their own families. What you said, Asim is a file. I don't want to say anything new that is going to confuse you, but just take my statement, my comment, that no, it's not file. It is a khabar. It's a khabar of innahu.
Going back to the question the brother asked in regards to mislir riba and wa ahallallahu al-bay'a. So I had it down Allahu as file because it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who ordered the tijara to be halal, right? You're saying riba is khabar.
That's a separate matter. Ahallallahu, Allah is file, absolutely. Allah is fail, and Allah is file. If you go back, then the statement is innamal bayu mithlu riba. That's a completely different statement. That's a different sentence. And the next sentence is wa ahallallah, and Allah made halal. Here, Allah is file of ahalla.
Yes, so I was right then.
Yeah, you're right.
File, okay. And moizatun is not khabar? Moizatun. Faman ja'ahu.
I mentioned ja means reaches. Faman, so the one, ja'ahu, to whom reaches. What does reach?
Advice. Moizatun.
Advice. So what would it be? It would be the file of ja.
Oh.
What reached? Mawiza. So ja is the verb and moiza is its file. I mentioned the fact that whenever there is a question of why a noun is taking the form of rafa, the first priority, the first thing that should come to your mind should be if there is a verb around. And if there is a verb around, and that is making the noun into rafa, it has to be a file.
Sir, the examples we have done so far, mubtada usually comes first and khabar comes after. Is that correct understanding?
That's right. That's what mubtada means. The
Okay.
one that does ibtada, that
Okay.
starts, right?
I got it. Thank you.
Welcome. And let's enjoy learning the Quran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.